Alright, welcome to episode 51 of What If Civilization Started Over. In the last episode, as you can see by the current look of the Indian Ocean, there was a huge war. I don't know if you watched that episode, but I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's subscribed, because now we have currently reached 100 subscribers. I should probably make a post about that, but I haven't yet. Anyway, let's have a quick rundown of the peace treaty. Over here, I don't know if there's like black lines at the top. I don't know about that. Sorry, I'm trying to use... You know that thing I used where it went badly? I'm trying to use it again, and maybe well this time. Anyway, over here in the west, we can see that Pakistan has annexed the western parts of the Indian country. The orange team's absolutely huge. The green team's also expanded significantly, and the old blue country is now gone. The southern Indian country is now kind of just like midway through India, if not even further than that. Bengal's got a really weird border over here that I don't love, but it's what they've got. Nothing changed in Sri Lanka. Over here to Indochina, let's take a second to just adore this border that I made right here. I love what this looks like. It looks really, really good. So I'm really proud of these provinces that I drew a really long time ago. But Indochina now has access to the Bay of Bengal and also the South China Sea. Guangxi got a few provinces over there which have like no cities, so that's great. We have this new Malay sort of country, not religion, ideology, who is of course ideologically an oligarchy, just like their sponsor country, southern India. So that's cool. You guys in aristocracy, which is kind of similar in a way. Anyway, moving on down to Indonesia. As you can see, most of Indonesia has fallen into southern Indian hands, while southern China has taken over northern Borneo, which is kind of Greater Sabah, maybe, or like Greater Sabah and North Kalimantan. And also the Moluccas, northern Moluccas, they also already had that. If you look at the provinces, yeah, there's this really straight province over here, which is why the Bornean border looks like that, because it's not a beautiful border. China did want more stuff, like let's put a Sulawesi and the rest of Borneo, but they didn't get it, because I don't want border gore. Anyway, there's the state of the world at the beginning of today's episode. Something else to note is power rankings, and also something that I didn't put is that it's now 1800. Speaking of power rankings, though, this shouldn't come as a surprise to you, but southern India is now the most powerful country in the world. It's probably kind of evident why that is. Anyway, second up, it's Spain. Third place goes to Turkey. Fourth is Poland, so that's pretty good for them, because they're kind of a lot smaller now. Fifth is still Korea. Sixth, China. Orange China. Seventh is Sweden. Yeah, they're definitely going to get a lot stronger over the next few episodes. England 8th, 9 is Ireland, and 10 is really a toss-up between the Indigo, Dutch, and Ukrainian countries, but I went for Ukraine because, I don't know, they're kind of cool. I like them. So they got the 10th position. Good. Let's get on with some stuff in today's episode. So, first off, we need to head back round here to... Let's go to the Middle East, shall we? This is always a fun spot to go to, because Turkey is ready for a conquest today. And they've got a lot of opportunities. You know, they could go into this stupid pink country here. They can go into weird Jordan. They could go into this yellowish country, Caucasia, Azerbaijan, Armenia thing. It's an Azerbaijan-Armenia union. What the hell? Even Egypt, which would look cool, but Egypt's pretty strong. And in the end, they're just going to go for something that is sentimental to them, which is Iraq. They're going to be attacking Iraq. Of course they will. So the yellow country here is kind of the remnants of Iraq. Yeah, the old Mesopotamian country used to exist here, and the Turkish still really want their capital city. So they sent in an invasion in the north, and also another one in the north to take a second major city, so that's pretty good. But everything else is here down in the south, so their main invasion force is pushing out towards these major cities. They easily take this one. The yellow country has kind of set itself up. Meh. It's a very corrupt monarchy. I believe it's just an average monarchy, yeah. Very corrupt. It's just like, it's not entirely perfect. They tried to make themselves into this Mesopotamian culture, but they have a different name for their country. They're trying to differentiate it and unite the people to make this better country by using the old culture. So it's kind of failing. Either way, the Turkish will make it into this huge economic zone in the middle, surrounding Baghdad, which is in real life down here, but oh well, it's here in this universe. They sail across this lake and take this other major city and begin the push towards the capital, taking it without too much trouble. They push into these three remaining major cities, and the entire southern portion of the country will fall over to the Turkish. they send out a few more parties in the north to capture the last two remaining major cities, before eventually we see the capitulation of the yellow country, because the remaining part of their own country is desert. So that's why they give in there. And yeah, the Turkish will be annexing the entirety of this country. So after three wars, of Baghdad, the Turkish have finally managed to annex the city. This makes them like just a lot chunkier in the Middle East. They've also got a very like Mesopotamian or British Middle Eastern mandate looking territory, so that's kind of cool. But we just need to stay in this area because another kind of major event will be happening here, because these two countries, this blue and this other dark blue country, are very similar. Daman has been here since episode 10, whilst this country is very new. However, their culture is why is that happening on the border? What is going on here? Their cultures are both very similar, mostly just spending current. Yeah, what was the word I was looking for? I don't know. They both originate from the Daman country because they used to spread up here into this northern part of the Persian Gulf. So for that reason, with this country wanting safety, they are going to unite with Daman, and it's a bit of a strange union, but I think this country has now become a lot more powerful. They kind of look like the Saudi Eastern Province, which is just one huge province. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty cool. So there is that. I don't know if you can hear my mum in the background. I think I might need to go to tea, so I might need to resume this recording in a second. But can we do another thing before I do that? I don't know. Let's find out, shall we? Yeah, we can. Let's go down here to Africa, because the Tanzanian country is unfortunately about to get attacked by a certain number one power in the world, and that number one power in the world is obviously going to be southern India. They want this territory, so they start their invasion, easily taking both these islands and this major city around here. I should probably increase the size of the brush just because this country is not going to be winning. This is extremely corrupt. Well, not corrupt, but like autocratic, absolute monarchy that rules Tanzania and lots of East Africa. The Egyptians have just a normal one, but Ethiopia has an absolute monarchy, but people kind of like them because they're pretty fair. They just hold all the power, so it's like, yeah, we trust you to be a good guy. Tanzania, no, you really can't trust this guy to be a good person. Yeah, they've got a terrible ruler, but anyway, the Tanzanians will easily capitulate. And although some people fight out in the forests or the pretty uninhabited territories of this country, yeah, they lose. And in the end, what we see happening is the full annexation of the nation of Tanzania into this new, huge East African colony for the Southern Indians. They're also going to do a bit of expansion for their colony because they feel like it, expanding it all the way to Lake Tanganyika, and from Lake Malawi or Nyasa, whatever it's called now, over here to this area, making a sort of modern day Tanzania looking colony. So that's cool. I'm also going to expand them around here because I want to, and I can, and you can't stop me. Anyway, let's go. It's pretty fun. I'm going to have my tea now, so I'll be back in a second, probably. Bye. And we're back again. Alright, sorry, I had to destroy the recording again, which is silly. I didn't mean to. Anyway, I've also expanded the Tanzanians down south into what might be Mozambique, but I kind of doubt it is. So, there's how Tanzania looks now, well, the Tanzanian colony at least, and we need to head it back over to India, because there's still stuff we need to do around here, and actually I'm going to go to China first, before I forget about the events I need to cover in China, because the Guangxi country, after receiving some money, like reparations probably, because the territory they've annexed is not exactly valuable land. They go to expand further into this unclaimed Chinese territory, which we've kind of just been leaving to do its own thing for a long time now. So we might need to get on expanding that. But there's a certain country who I think might like some of this Tibetan plateau, and we'll get around to them in a while. Maybe this episode, probably not. I'll probably forget. Anyway, the country that I need to talk to you about is this salmon country right over here. I added in some more cities from the last episode, which I probably should have had in the last episode, seeing that was probably the biggest war they're ever going to be involved in. Anyway, yeah, let's divide them. They need a civil war. Following this war, the country is going to start hating itself because everything's going badly. So, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the Islamic country is going to have a civil war. The country is going badly. I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, most of the population is here in the south. There's quite a lot in the east because of trade with Bengal, but the area that is seceding away is the area within the north. So for that reason, yeah, the northern area is going to be seceding away. As I've said before in multiple previous videos, civil wars are not really my speciality. I'm not very good at doing civil wars. They're just kind of like meh. They're not that interesting sometimes, I think. And it's more the end product that we're looking for. So that's what I'm doing here. We have the creation of this yellow country right over here, and yeah, we need to give them a capital city now. They've got a few cities, maybe like 4, I don't know. So where are they going to put theirs? Put it right over here on the border of the green country. So there we go. Here's our newest country down here in India. They look pretty cool. Pink country looks a bit like a triceratops if you look at it facing that way. Facing towards the right, I mean. Anyway, let's go over here to Tibet before I do forget about the Tibetan country. You weren't always called Tibet, were you? Used to be Kashmir. Anyway, they're going to expand further into these Tibetan mountains. Why? I don't know. Just kind of fun, I guess. They get some weird looking borders. I'm not sure how I feel about these. But they've got them anyway, so it's alright. They're a really long country at this point, which I kind of like. And they've got this weird peninsular panhandle thing over here, which I'm going to remove. So there's that. A huge country there. Probably can get onto the border of the green country if they tried. Anyway, let's go over here to Europe, because we need to look at the alliance layer. Speaking of alliances, of course, yeah, the other Indian alliance is gone. We now just have the Southern Indians, the Green Ally, the Orange Ally, and the Indo-Chinese country. So that's the only alliance down here in India. Whilst the Chinese alliance and the 3 major European alliances still exist. I mean, there's no other European alliances, but that's beside the point. Anyway, what we're looking for here in Europe is the Spanish adding a new member to their own alliance, which is going to be, can you guess it? Can you guess it? It's a country who's kind of pretty strong. I bet you were thinking I was going to say Sweden, but I'm not. I'm actually going to be saying Ireland. So the Irish will be joining the Spanish alliance, and it's kind of because Spain's been moving in a generally kind of like anti-triangle alliance movement. Direction, I mean. So, the colonial power that these guys hold, and just the huge economic growth within Britain and also the Dutch country is kind of making the Spanish go, maybe these guys are the more immediate threat before I need to deal with the Turkish, who are like a secondary threat, but also the worst threat because they're a lot stronger. Either way, yeah, that happens, but it will have ramifications because joining the Triangle Alliance, we see the nation of France. Now, France, it makes a lot of sense they were joining this like ages ago. Look at their position. They have an awful position, completely surrounded by the Spanish, the second strongest country on earth, and also with the southern French right over here. Terrible position. The English can also just gang up and take like Brittany and Normandy as well, just for their own personal gain, but they're not going to do that. Yeah, this will help to fight the Spanish, but it's like you might just get overrun, and then the British will be fighting Ireland, and the Dutch will just be chilling, doing nothing. And it might not be that helpful. But finally, the Triangle Alliance has expanded, and its episodes long existence where it's done absolutely nothing. There you go. Anyway, Sweden. We haven't talked about Sweden yet today, very much, and that needs to change because Sweden hasn't declared war on anyone yet, and that's not right. So don't worry, guys. The Swedish will be invading the country of Ingria. Ingria is kind of tall for some reason. They have 3 major cities, including the old Peach Team capital. So what the Swedish do is push down towards the Ingrian capital, taking what would be St. Petersburg, and then just moving generally south towards this city, and then also towards this one in the south as well. This country had no real chance of surviving against the Swedish onslaught, and the Swedish will just remove all the other major population centres, take all the territory on Lake Ladoga, and the country just submits its surrender. So that's kind of sad. And in the end, here's what you see. The Swedish will fully annex the nation of Ingria, and they've now moved in on the other side of the Baltic Sea from where Denmark is. Just a huge load of power over this pretty small sea. So there we go. There's the Swedes. And, I mean, there's more things that I could do in today's episode, but do I want to do them? Kind of. Let's go over here to Korea. Korea, you kind of refer to China. China expanded a little bit in the previous episode. That's not good. So the Koreans were moving down further here into the United States territory around in the just general area over here. They're kind of into California now, I think, like Northern California, which apparently is quite beautiful. I mean, apparently all of California is quite beautiful. They've got some nice land. But, there's like cool forests up here, so that's nice. Is that Los Angeles? I'm getting confused. Is this San Diego? I don't know Californian cities well enough. But they're pretty big cities. Anyway, yeah, they're also going to expand further into this general American-Canadian border region and also towards this lake. There's probably a huge gold rush going on in Korea at the moment, which is an interesting sort of idea. Yeah, they've expanded their colony a long way down the American Pacific. Okay, you. A long way down the American Pacific coast, so that's cool. And there you go. Nice, looks pretty good. In the last episode, we also saw the Germans expand their colony, and by expanding their colony, I mean create their colony, because they didn't have one until the last episode. Well, the episode before the last one, where they got their own independence and became a country. Yeah, they didn't have a colony until they were a country. So, let's go to the Dutch instead. The Dutch are going to colonize this general area, which makes their colony look kind of cool. The English, of course, also going to colonize further west, getting on par with the Irish. They are stronger than the Irish, based off of power rankings. So, that's how you would know. So they can expand a bit more than the Irish, but now they really do parallel the Irish colony. To be fair, Ireland's colony is in a terrible space with the Dutch and the English surrounding it. However, the English have the Swedish north of them, so what is going on? Anyway, Germany is going to leave Long Island and land here in the general New York / Connecticut / whatever else is over here. Just a lot of really small states. Is Maine over here, or is Maine near Canada? I mean, this is near Canada. I just heard that Maine is kind of like Canada. Anyway, yeah, the Germans expand this colony, and they're actually going to expand it across the just the entire part of the coast, so that no one else can get this land except for the people who are already here, which is most of the people who'd be interested in this land. So unfortunately, what we see happening is a Swedish. No, don't worry. Although that would look kind of cool, that's not going to happen. Anyway, there we go. There's that. The Spanish, I don't know. I just never content with the borders of the Spanish Empire down here in South America. So that's always going to be a problem for me. I don't know if I like what I've drawn today here for the Spanish. But I feel like I'm going to have to, because I'm not redoing it. Anyway, there you go. Here's, I feel like that's what I say every single time I draw in borders for the Spanish. I'm just like, I do not like this. I should need to fix that, but I won't. Anyway, Africa, not going to do a whole lot more there in today's episode. Yeah, it's probably where I'm going to leave it for today's episode. In fact, religion. We can actually do something religion, because first of all, here's the religion map. Whoa, that's a lot of cool religions. The Greek religion still exists. The Spanish religion looks very small when you look at Europe, but then when you look at America, wow, there's a lot of Spanish religion people in America. The Roman religion still alive. The Druidic religion has its main outpost, and pretty much only outpost, here in Finland, but also this small blob near Moscow, maybe. The capital of the French religion is in France, but that religion doesn't exist anymore, so we don't actually need to have that city here anymore. So get rid of that. And also the capital of the Druidic religion used to be in Latvia, but that's gone now. Roman religion is led from whatever city this is. Spanish, I think, is kind of the center. Where is the Spanish capital? I just didn't give them one. That was clever. This one's in Libya. Yeah, just religious capitals. Kind of interesting. What we're interested in is down here in East Africa, because for a while there's been this Tanzanian religion, and to be honest, it's just a really failed religion, because the king tried to impose it on his people, and the people didn't like it. So what we see happening here in Tanzania, with the conquest by the Indian population, Indian country, is that this religion is just going to collapse, and instead they're going to try and impose, like, you either join our religion or join someone else's and get defense from that. So that's what they do, with the religion of Tanzania's country being partitioned up by all three of these surrounding religions, even the Carthaginian one, which is really far away, but it has spread pretty significantly into Eastern Africa. There's also a huge group of Hijaz religion around here, who kind of just hasn't been persecuted yet because people haven't got around to that. Also, a bit of Spanish religion down there. Lots of Chinese up here. This weird Central Asian one, other Central Asian one, Caucasian separated religion, and the Korean religion still around here. Also, Indonesia's basically just Indian religion. Final thing for the episode then. Before, how has this episode become 20 minutes? I despair sometimes. I must yap for a lot. But this is a pretty eventful video. Is the Chinese colonization of Papua New Guinea. Part of the peace treaty with China was that the rest of Papua New Guinea is fully allowed to become a Chinese colony, and there's nothing the Southern Indians can do about that, apart from war. So that's what they do. No, yeah. So the Chinese will colonize the remaining parts of Papua New Guinea, except for New Britain and New Ireland and Bougainville, and whatever is over there. And they'll also make a landing down here in Queensland, starting up their own colony in Australia. And also these islands over here. They can have those too. But there you go. That is the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pretty good one in my opinion. And I will see you again next time. Goodbye. And subscribe, please.